Alright, hi everyone. I know it's been a while. Just gonna say I don't own the picture since it's not a paid video, and I made the thumbnail. Okay, so I've been trying to look for at least, basically, because my dad said I need to find like another job that pays well, but so I've been kind of looking for another job, and I haven't found anything, that kind of catches my eye. Because all the jobs I find are always like 30 minutes away or something, or longer. So I'm like, crap. So I'm trying to, because I just decided I'm probably going to try to study to get my license, at least my permit, then my license. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna try it too, because that's the only way I'm gonna get a better job, or I'm gonna make some cash. Anyways, though, how's everyone been? Hope you guys been great. But I'm finally gonna make this what if. I'm gonna try and make 2 videos today. So every time I think when I'm about to start, they always get back home. Give me a minute. Okay. So, yeah, okay. My parents got back. That's why I said that. So, by the way, it's been hot here. So, yeah. And, what else? That's nothing else. So, we all know, if you don't remember, Naruto Sword Weapons Master. I will probably put that in the description, like, with a link, so you guys can find it if you're curious. But basically, that premise is Gilgamesh wishes, to basically be reincarnated, and with any other, basically, hero that wants to, they shall. So that's kind of like the premise of this. Some heroes from the Fate series has been reincarnated, but to be fair, I have to point out, technically they are humans, so they don't really have a lot of, basically, their mana that they had, that they can do their, basically, big giant moves or finisher moves. So, they're trump cards. So they can't do that, but they can do it when they're older and trained. Now, I wanted to basically combine this and just make it kind of like an irony, because Gilgamesh is probably gonna remember, you're gonna remember any lives if you're reincarnated, that you've been in. So in this one, Gilgamesh and all the other heroes are gonna remember what has happened to the timelines, just to point up now. So yeah, so let's get into this. Let's get this started. So this is what if, Deku was the reincarnation of Gilgamesh. I'm not making him arrogant, so just want to point that out. So yeah, so we start off with basically Gilgamesh finally waking up, but for now he doesn't remember who he is. He's basically, waking up in the bed, just, I would say, at the age of 3 to 2. Basically he knows basically who his parents are and stuff, and he's just stretching as a kid. He's like, he goes by Izuku Midoriya. So in this case, Izuku basically just stretching. Why don't I stay out? Let's see what basically Dad and Mom basically are gonna do today. So he just runs over and basically gets his clothes on and goes to basically eat breakfast. Now, what happens is very simple for breakfast. It's just a normal day. Nothing really happens, but something basically, at the end of breakfast, basically Mr. Midoriya wants to, tell Izuku something. Izuku, which he goes, yeah, Dad? Dad, right? Which basically he nods. Because you're basically getting really good at basically, speaking well. He goes, which basically Izuku went on and goes like, and well, this kind of basically is, a little bit concerning towards, Inko and, well, Hazashi. But, basically, I mean, Izuku's been able to learn rapidly, quickly. That's what happens to all the, kids that basically were reincarnated heroes. So, basically, Hazashi says, I want to tell you something. Since it seems you're, well, able to basically comprehend things more easily than other kids, which Izuku would nod in understanding. He goes, you and your mother, well, me and your mother have been wanted to tell you this when you got a little bit older, because we didn't think you can handle this. It's a secret, basically, about our family, which Izuku would nod. So, as Ashi was saying, there's a world beyond the realm of quirks, which Izuku, still a quirk nerd, be like, wait, what do you mean by that? Which, in a sense, Hazashi says, quirks are not the only power in this world. And, well, in this world, in the age before quirks, there's mages. Which Izuku be like, but magic ain't real. Which Hazashi and Inko, well, would not. Well, one of them would just sigh, the other one would just chuckle. Which was, Inko was the one sighing, Hazashi was the one chuckling. He goes, well, that's the thing, kid, no? Magic's real. Basically, all of a sudden, Hazashi would, let's just say, use a spell. Say, basically, just making a simple flame. Which, basically, Izuku was like, but you, just dumbstruck, because all he knew was quirks for his young age. Which Hazashi would nod and be like, yes, I was born lucky with a quirk and with the ability to use magic, but my magic reserves are, well, you could say, not the highest. Which goes, I see, I see. What about Mom? She goes, I'm a mage too, sweetie. Which, basically, but, how should I say this? I took more of the one with, basically, do with crystals and storing magic in them. Which, Izuku doesn't understand, which, basically, well, as I says, there's many different types of mages, but when you turn 4, we're going to see if you have a quirk, alright? Which he nods, and basically he goes, but why tell me this? He goes, well, because we are, we are archaeologists, and we're, ex-mages. There's a reason why for that, and we'll tell you if you have a quirk or not. Which Izuku would nod. So, okay, I will say it was 3, so a year passed. Izuku, personality didn't change, but memories have started to come in rapidly. Only on how to work with the gates of Babylon. Nothing more. Which he doesn't understand that. So, what happens next is, when he's the age of 4, Hazashi and Inko go to get Izuku's quirk checked out. The fact is, do you really think that, he's gonna have a quirk? Well, I mean, I actually thought of him actually having a quirk. It being a weak one. Because I want him, well, I want it to be more of, basically, it's basically due to, basically, how should I say, an old family, basically, an old family member. I'm sorry, I just can't help but laugh at this. It's also due to one of the freaking timelines. I wish I could do this. But yeah, anyways, so when Izuku basically goes to get his quirk checked out, this person also checks his magic reserves and, see if he can actually become a decent mage. The fact is, his magic reserves are higher than for a normal child would be able to have since he's the king of heroes. But the fact is, he has a quirk, but it's like a class quirk. I hope everyone can understand where this is going. If not, then, oof, I am sorry. I'll just tell you. Which, the man's just like looking at Hisashi. I mean, Hisashi, we're old friends, right? He goes, yes. And I must tell you, the sincerity of our friendship, what type of kid do you even have? Which basically Inko and Hisashi are like, huh? Izuku's like kind of confused too. He was like, okay, so he has a quirk. On a scale 1 to difficulty level, control of it, 1 to basically 10, it's a 9, but it also could be a 5. It depends on if I'm thinking it's correctly. Which is, it goes like, huh? Oh, Hisashi and Inko. He just sighs like, look, alright? He has magic, that it works, that's good. So you become a mage, like you. But, how basically the mage basically heads, well, that, people who run everything still, are gonna be when they, find out Izuku has magic. He was, which Hisashi sighs, he goes like, it's all because of my ancestor Shinra Emiya, isn't it? Which he nods. He goes, which, for some reason, Izuku hearing that name kind of has an image of Shinra, which it's like every timeline, including the time when basically Gilgamesh got his arm cut off, which Izuku instantly go to it. Which he looks down, it's still there, which he's like, how do I have those memories? And he's thinking that in his head. So, he goes, yeah, here's the thing. Your kid, how basically we had those magic cards, basically where we can turn into the classes of those characters? And basically, basically, he goes, yeah, basically we could turn to the Archer class, and basically it'll be like Archer, that one heroic spirit that has white hair, and basically wears red, right? Yeah. Yeah, Zuko has a quirk similar to that because it's called class. So, I checked, and how basically it's basically because of the mage is, association, got better equipment to basically detect quirks. He goes, yeah? He goes, yeah. That, that he has. He has got the quirk called class, and it's everything. Which is, huh? He can turn to any class he wants. Which kind of shocks Inko and Hisashi. He goes like, you mean the Saver, Archer, Berserker, Assassin, Mage? He goes, yeah. And the fact is, though, that could be in the future. But for right now, he only has one class open. But the fact is, this class is technically the strongest with him. Because your bloodline, guess what it is? He was like, what? Archer class. When Hisashi hears that, I think it just kind of somewhat clicks. Which he was like, oh my god, Shinra became a heroic spirit. But, I did a little more checking after that, but then it's like also Saber class a little bit. I don't know why. So yeah, which Izuku's like, can I get an explanation, please? I know I'm 4, but I'm basically pretty smart for a 4-year-old. Also, the reason why I always kind of like make his kid Izuku kind of smart, because I don't want to look like a kid, and besides, I know I'm gonna have, act like, not. I always make Izuku never act like a kid. So I tried to, but I can't. Which, basically, they kind of explain the class systems for basically the, heroic spirits. And he goes like, oh, okay. He goes, yeah. I don't know what little Izuku here can do with his magic, but, we better start training him basically in the ways of how you've been doing it. Which, Hisashi would nod. So, after they leave, he was like, am I in trouble? He goes, which Inko goes, no, sweetie, it's just a very surprise, which, Hisashi would nod. So, yeah. Which basically, he says, we're going to start your training when we get home. First, we're going to basically activate your circuits in your body, and then we're going to basically start training your magic, and then your quirk. which Izuku would nod. So, many years pass. Let's say 4 to 13. Well, middle school. Because I don't want to go through every single, year Izuku went through training, or, I'm just going to say it all at once. Izuku, basically, now is 12 to 13 years old. He has basically activated his circuits. He has learned basically what Shinra has done. And, well, basically, he can do trace on and unlimited blade works. And basically, even project more, basically, weapons into existence. And basically, let's just say, phase through, trying to remember this one. I'm trying to remember basically the Fate series. In a nutshell, I did some research, but I never can remember this one technique that basically, when it showed, he was basically throwing some weapons, and then all of a sudden they phase through these, not triangles, but, hold up. Okay, these diamond-shaped teleporters that basically kind of, teleport them to another, distance away. So yeah, so he learned that technique. And, well, and at the age of 10, we will have, well, actually, let's just say this. Izuku was looking outside the window, looking towards the window, because he's not caring about, anyone in class, because everyone's an annoyance to him, especially Bakugo. Bakugo was his friend, until, basically, he told him about his quirk. Bakugo basically made fun of him, and that kind of riled him up a bit, because he thought he was his friend, and they stopped being friends. Well, Bakugo thought Izuku would always come around, but no, Izuku was trained too much to even remember about Bakugo after that. It's like, you make fun of him because of his quirk called class archer, and then, Bakugo thinks it's a weak quirk. He doesn't understand because Izuku can't tell him about the mages, so yeah. So in a sense, Izuku basically not friends with Bakugo, but we have him basically thinking about when he was 10 years old. Basically, he was training. He'd been pushing himself to the limit at the age of 10 because, well, he's been something, he thought something was wrong with him because he's been, getting tired, so he's been trying to train himself to basically have way more stamina, endurance, and, all that. But, because of this, though, because he's been overworking himself, he does not realize, and his parents have been telling him to take breaks often, he doesn't do it. I want to say, though, something basically Hasashi was doing archery. And, well, when he was basically about to release the arrow, the bow broke, the bowstring broke, which sent the arrow flying in a different direction towards Izuku. Hasashi goes like, Izuku, watch out! Izuku basically, seeing the arrow, he basically tried to, he basically was too exhausted due to his harsh training that he's been putting himself through. So, something pops out. Because he thought he was about to die. But no, something pops out and blocks the arrow. It's chains. Which basically came out from a golden portal, which Inko and Hasashi are shocked. Hasashi more. And, well, yeah. This is when, and then Izuku fully passes out. Now, we have Izuku in his mindscape. Him basically, even though in the flashback, him basically in the real chuckling at the memory he has. Because when he remembers in his mindscape now. So, yeah, basically goes to that other flashback. And so Izuku's in his mindscape like, where am I? Which he hears. I see my reincarnation has finally unlocked our power. Which he was like, huh? Which Izuku's looking around, he's in a palace. And I want to say what Gilgamesh looks like, it's when he was as the king of, the king basically of Babylon. if I remember correctly. No, not the King of Babylon. Basically, when he was in his king and ruined his kingdom, Uruk or something. Too many. There's a lot of things I researched, so I may be, and I may be like, can't remember everything. So when Izuku sees him in his king, Gilgamesh in his king look, which is like, who are you? It was like, figure as much. You would not remember, or should I say, we wouldn't remember right away. But she just blinked. I was like, well, I am Gilgamesh, king of heroes, and you are my reincarnation. Which is like, what? It was, allow me to explain what has happened. So he explains about his time as Gilgamesh and the Holy Grail War he was in, and how he won it and wished for everyone that wanted to be reincarnated to be reincarnated. So the Grail allowed it, and since Gilgamesh was tired of this and wanted to be reincarnated, he was. But then he tells him about his time spending with a young man called Naruto Uzumaki, and how he became somewhat of his adopted son. Or brother. It depends how you look at it. He just says, it could be both, could be none. Could be whatever you think. Teacher and sensei, brother and brother, father and son. Which, yeah. So Izuku kind of just nodding. So he was like, so I'm you. He was like, yes, and to be frank, I'm quite surprised basically, surprised I got reincarnated to the family of that mongrel. Mongrel was like, well, my speech basically is like, I say that, but I meant it as a joking way now. Since basically we remember for all our timelines. As then he shows basically the multiple different timelines, which Izuku's blinking. He goes, what? He goes, yes. For some reason our worlds have been, combined into one. Multiple of them. But that's due to the power of the Holy Grail. See, I said all heroes. That meant every timeline that a hero wished to be reincarnated. This is the center point of all of that. A new timeline or a new world has been created. You could say, but it's also true where it's not. It's just a combination of every single timeline all into one, or a new one. We shall never know the truth. So, are you ready to basically to learn the power that you hold inside of you? Which he's like, yes. He goes, good. Why are you not? He goes, oh, why am I not basically arrogant? As you can see from, basically, he's looking at one of the timelines. He goes, I met someone that helped me to remember who I was once. A very special person. So Izuku basically would not. So that took him about freaking 3 months in a coma. And after he basically remembers who he is, he knows he's Gilgamesh, and that he laughs every time that he thinks he got reincarnated to that, into Shinra Emiya's family bloodline. And yeah, so it's just kind of funny, he thinks. But anyways, Izuku personality only changed slightly. You see, he is kind-hearted. He will act arrogant to piss people off as a strategy, but he knows basically when to be prideful and when to not. He takes pride in his skills. He takes pride in what he has accomplished, but he will not let his past mistakes fall him. He will be changing the way he did how basically he ruled his kingdom. He would basically help them out and then leave them, later, basically like, he basically helped them out, did everything he could for them, and if he died, the kingdom would still run without him. That's what I'm trying to say is, but for this time, society basically will need him more than everything, because he knows corruption when he sees it. This hero society has become corrupted, and, well, a true hero basically is gonna help, bring that, corruption down in any way possible. So, basically he has trained himself in all his, basically, every weapon he can because of this decision. And he also realized his past he never truly mastered anything. He let his gates, do his, battles when he was basically the hero, and he never truly basically did any of his actual attacks by, sword. If he did, he only used EA to basically even make attacks. So, in a sense, he decided to become, try to basically do everything he can with, like he did with Naruto. Become basically a weapons master of his own right. But Jingo and Sashi were kind of shocked, because now, all the classes are there for him. So it kind of helps. It kind of helps him. So anyways, back to it. We have Izuku. I said, in class, having those memories, and basically, though, what we see Izuku as, instead of, just, green hair, there's some blonde in it. Basically, one eye is red, the other eye is green. He accepts himself as both Izuku and Gilgamesh. This is the sign of it. Like a fusion, but not really. Which, no one understood why this happened to him, but people got used to it. Izuku trained his body, trained his magic, and, well, I think he would have, if I could say, he improved on Shinra's basically unlimited blade works. Slightly. Not really. Slightly, but he can basically project the place like Shinra and Archer can. But the fact is, he can also make a false reality. Which kind of basically surprises, himself when he basically can make it, this false reality look like anything. His unlimited blade works is this true, basically, world where he can control it, but the false one is just one where he basically could change it into anywhere he will need. And it consumes less mana. His mana reserves have skyrocketed, by the way. So anyways. He's basically, Izuku basically, just waiting for everyone in class, to start. The teacher comes in, does his usual thing, and, well... But basically, when the teacher does his usual thing, everyone basically can't wait and be excited, and then then Bakugo happens. Basically, but he's gonna get into UA. He's become the most famous and richest hero in the, and the number one hero in Japan, blah blah blah. Which Izuku rolls his eyes and thinks, arrogance. Like I used to be. Kind of funny how that is. So, when basically everyone just starts booing Bakugo, he shows that, he basically makes explosions, whereas the teacher says to calm down and don't use your quirk in class. Like he already told everyone else. So he basically goes through people, who's going to become basically wants to go to UA. Which, Bakugo, not surprising, but Izuku, actually very surprised because he never said he was going to become a hero. The fact is, they only know his quirk is a class, which Bakugo always makes fun of. Which, basically, he never shows off. Which, the teacher would be like, Izuku, want to go into basically UA, huh? He goes, which Izuku just nods. He goes, well, you never show us your quirk, but to be fair, no one's allowed to use their quirks in class or at school, but... kids nowadays don't want to listen. But well, whatever it is, I wish you the best of luck. Which Izuku would nod and say thank you. He goes, no problem. Which Bakugo just, about to say something about the class starts. So, the whole entire Bakugo thing, about telling Izuku don't get into UA happens, but based on when he basically sees Bakugo's, smoke coming off of, Izuku sees smoke come off of his shoulder because of Bakugo, all of a sudden Bakugo has basically one of the swords, basically, the dagger / short sword, I like to call it, basically that Archer and Shimmer uses to fight with, in his hand. Basically at Bakugo's neck. Which, that surprises them, including Bakugo. He goes, you're gonna get your hand off me, you filthy mongrel. which he only would consider Bakugo a mongrel. Because, one, Bakugo looks down on people, which he made a rule for himself. Anyone who bullies, tramples other people's dreams, and who basically are arrogant to the point where they think they are better than everyone and like they're a god, he would consider those people mongrels. Which Bakugo backs away and everyone, he takes the dagger and disappear. Well, short sword, dagger, whatever, disappear. And he goes like, good, I'm gonna get into UA, and you can't stop me. Good luck knowing that. So yeah, basically that's when Izuku leaves. Bakugo is pissed. So, the sludge villain incident. Yeah, no, it's honest and true. Just sludge villain gets captured. How? Well, imagine it basically when the sludge villain tries to attack him. Basically, the chains of his best friend comes out and wraps around him. Which he's like, what the? How? He goes, my friend always likes to protect me, even now. I can never say the name right, so I'm just going to call it E. The person E. Even though it might be Incu something. Yeah. So E. So, he looks at the chains and just smiles, goes, thanks E. So, basically, the sludge villain is trying to escape, but then All Might comes out of nowhere and sees the, villain trapped. Which, basically, is Izuku going to get his quirk? Because he will die if he gets one for all, so I can't do that. Besides, magic with a quirk, I mean, not dangerous, but maybe life-threatening. So, I'm gonna say, basically Izuku would already tell about, All Might's injury, and, I mean, Izuku would understand magics, so he would want to try to help, All Might, but basically All Might's timer would technically run out because of, well, one little thing. He was kind of already using his quirk already, so his 3 hours are up, which All Might be like, damn. Which Izuku basically not even, caring, even though he's an All Might fan. He's like, so, your injury, and it's affecting you in your quirk. Which is, yes. You're not gonna say I'm a fake. It was like, no, sir. A hero basically pulls through any incident, even if they are injured. But you have to take breaks and rest. Your injury basically will affect your health way more than you would, be. Besides, but you look like right now it's a skeleton, so... Which All Might would sigh and be like, yes. So, he will tell... So basically, Izuku asks, can you tell me basically about your quirk? Which All Might would sigh and say, well, this has to be basically from long ago. So he would tell him the whole entire story of the quirk. And then basically, Izuku would ask All Might questions about the quirk, like how many people, have been passed down to, so this can stockpile, and he would say all the way up to him, so he's the 8th. So Izuku would nod, and then basically, he would ask how long has any of the people have it, which technically he heard from his master, the 4th user, basically had it for a very long time. So basically he goes, but why did he have it for a very long time before he passed it on to somebody? So, because he knows the 4th user, well, All Might knows the 4th user in this one, never went after all for one, because his quirk was only danger sense. So, basically All Might thinks maybe to basically improve and basically get the quirk stronger, because if he does that then he might have overloaded the quirk. So, basically, that actually may be true. So, I mean, while basically they're talking, he's come up with basically theories and All Might basically, hearing them out. So, the theories that are most likely to them is, basically, the quirk is overloaded. They can't handle any more power. If it does, basically, because of quirk, it's like the lifespan of a person, in some way or form, as they say it, saying as an example, what happens if that, lifespan is being snuffed out because of the quirk being overloaded. So, basically, he kind of figures only a quirkless person can handle it. Which, basically, he has to go. Which he's basically, kind of want to say this. Izuku just sighs and like, there's only one way we can find out. All Might, sir, would you like to come with me back home? Which they already dropped off the sledge villain while they were talking. Which, yes, I think, what is it, Midoriya. Izuku Midoriya. Young Midoriya. He goes, well, I'll explain when I get home, since not many people are supposed to know about this. I think I can make an exception, since basically this quirk, well, it is basically stockpile and transfer at once. So my theory is also on maybe it holds the past users in it, which All Might will be shocked. So, yes, when they get home, Izuku's parents are not, because they're basically away in the Amazon jungle, basically looking at some ruins. Due to basically them being a magical signature there. So, Izuku basically would, call up his parents real quick. I think, this would be the time he can call them because they can answer, which basically he hears his father and mother in the background saying, hello, son. Hello, Izuku. Basically, he's like, Mom, Dad, there's All Might. He kind of explained the situation, and they were like, basically, his father like, alright, do what you think is right. That's what we always told you. Which he nods, especially if you are him. Which we're proud of you either way, Izuku. Which Inko basically says, yes, just explain, don't tell him everything. Just explain what you can. He goes, right. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. And he hangs up. Now, what happens is simple. He basically would go back to All Might, which was in the living room. So, but he got tea. So basically, Izuku would give him the tea, put his cup down, and sit down and be like, well, I'm about to tell you, you cannot tell no one. And since you can keep a secret, I want you to basically know this. This is an absolute secret that may involve your memory being wiped. Which All Might, can tell the seriousness and would not. He goes, mages exist, and before you... and then all of a sudden, All Might like, oh, that? Yeah, man, I know that very well. Which Izuku just blinking and just start laughing, and like Gilgamesh, which that kind of shocks All Might a bit. He was like, "I'm sorry." Then I guess you know about the heroic spirits, huh? He goes, "Yes, I do." He goes, "Well, basically, then I guess you would know this." And then basically, one of the gates of Babylon open as Izuku, brings out basically some wine. Well, a bottle of wine, which was digged up the gates of Babylon. It was like, so, who basically told you about the mages, or how did you find out? He goes, well, how should I say this? I'm friends with I'm actually married to one. Which, Izuku just blinks. He was like, wait, you're married to a mage? He goes, yes. And I was told, and I do know how to I can't use magecraft or any, because I have no circuits, but my wife does basically value me very much. And I'm happy for that. When she heard about me being hurt, she tried to find every way she could to heal me. So, and she's still searching. Yes, a lot of modern day science can help, but with me, there's even limits to with basically magic. But she's determined to create new spells to help. Which Izuku would kind of smile and be like, "Your wife must be a very nice person." Which he nods. He goes, "Oh, she is. That's what I love about her." I met her when I was in my time of London, when I was traveling around the world for a bit. Which Izuku would nod and be like, well then, I'm going to be using my magic to try to go into the veil, or whatever, basically into the quirk. It's basically like your mindscape, in a way. Which goes, so we can get answers? Which I just nod. Well, not I nod, Izuku nods. Brain went quick and, idea motion. So, All Might be like, alright then, let's do it. I want to see, basically, what the other users have to say. So, Izuku basically like, well, we can finish our tea first, and then we can start. So, basically they make small chat, like, he asks, how does it feel to be alive again? Which he was good, and basically, he asked, does the mages, everyone in the world of mages know about the wish that he made, which All Might does, and to be quite surprised, basically the world basically had a lot more mages and magic in it, and different types of it, because of it, which he goes, so the world did merge, the worlds of timelines has merged together. Interesting. Which All Might did not understand. He goes like, sorry. The paths, basically, of our world breaks off and makes new timelines. These timelines, basically, are their own. Basically, because of my wish, multiple heroes from those timelines that want to be reincarnated to be human again have now, basically, merged our worlds together, well, our timelines together, to make a whole new one. He goes, I see. Interesting. Quite something I did not understand, but I still think it's interesting nevertheless, which Gilgamesh could not. He goes, it is complicated to understand, I know that. So, in a sense, though, after they finished their tea, Izuku, would put his hand on All Might's head and be like, now then, let's start the process. So, I would say golden, light comes off of Izuku's body, and then, a few seconds later, All Might and Izuku, open up their eyes. Wait, give me a minute. Okay, sorry, just I haven't not eaten anything, I just realized it. I'm just kind of enjoying it. Anyway, so, as I said, they open up their eyes. They're in this broken down, floating island, and it's basically with seats, multiple seats. Which Izuku was like, interesting. Never thought this would be like that. Which All Might, basically sees himself as like a glowing light. Which, all of a sudden, people are appearing in the chairs. From the first all the way up to basically the 7th user. Which All Might's eyes widen. And so, basically, none of Shimura be like, who are you? Which Izuku would just have a smirk. But, not arrogant, but basically more like a calm, basically enjoying this moment smirk. He was like, I am Izuku Midoriya, a future hero, the future #1 hero, if I may be so bold to say, but with my power and my, skills that I've basically had over the years, I'll basically be a force to be reckoned with, so I am allowed to basically be a little bit cocky on this one. If that basically, offends you, at the moment I don't really care. But we are here to find out, basically, if my theory that I come up with is correct. Which the first user will be like, and what that is. It's due to the 4th user's quirk, trained the quirk so much, it's overloaded it. And now if anyone who has a quirk would die from it. That is why All Might was the one who was given the quirk and not someone else. Which, basically, the first user would not make no signs of knowing, but all the other ones are just shocked by this, kid's deduction skills and coming up with basically theories. Which goes, what would you do with this information then, if it is true? Basically saying, help out basically to find someone that can actually handle this quirk that isn't basically in another place. Find someone that is quirkless. It'd be a better idea to basically, keep it into a quirkless person than give it to a person who has a quirk. Which, basically, he nods. He goes, it's so powerful enough it would be past the point of singularity, the first one would say. The first user would say, so he goes, so the 9th person would be the last one, huh? Which he nods. It was interesting. Alright. I want you to see the full capability of this quirk anyways. Which basically has a smirk on that. And so, All Might basically can't speak, and basically Izuku was like, by the way, why is All Might just this? Which just what we see basically he would be in the canon story, which the first user says is due to because he's not, ready to come here yet. He is here, but not here. which Izuku would nod slowly to that. So, someone only with a quirk would basically die from this, and someone without a quirk would live. Basically be able to handle quirks, correct? Which he nods and basically like, but there's something else you're not telling. But we'll figure that out on our own then. What's the point of basically telling all secrets that can ruin the fun? Which the first user would chuckle, and the second user would just smirk and be like, you know, I don't hate you, kid. He basically looks over and was like, Bakugo? He goes, huh? Which basically Izuku shakes his head like, sorry. You look like my used-to-be friend. But you're not arrogant and you're not a jerk. Which he's like, ah. Then all the other users basically say their opinions on him. He goes, well, anyways, I gotta get going. That's basically we just leave. Basically, the none of you like, I don't know what's about him, but he seems basically the fourth user says powerful. My danger sense was going off like crazy with him. He's just a kid. First user be like, he's more than a kid, which they all look at him and goes like, his eyes show great wisdom and age. Even if he does look like a young child. What is his secret? So, back to the real world. Which after that, all might be like, so, it's a good thing I know someone who's quirkless. Then, which Izuku will be like, really? He goes like, yes, my niece. Well, she calls me Uncle Mike, but we're not related. It's my friend David Shield. Which he's like, huh. Would you want me to help train her for the 10 months? He's like, would you? He goes, yes. I basically have been putting myself through the ringer, basically of training, and I don't want her, well, we don't want no one basically to push themselves to the breaking point. Now, do we? Which All Might would not know. So, you guys basically All Might when we're gonna get going, and he just said he's bringing his family along with, and he can join. He's like, alright. So, in a sense, basically, you know how basically they were in school? Izuku would tell the school, basically, which, All Might said he'll give him a couple of days to get ready. But yeah, so he told the school that he's gonna be going away due to some things happening to train, and that if he has to take any tests, he would like to have them basically sent to him by his email, which he gave to the teacher and the principal, which they don't have no problems with Izuku, since he's a model student. Get good grades, don't cause problems, help out when needed, maybe get into a few fights to protect others. That's it. So yeah, so in a sense, good student. So they basically give him this leniency on this one. That's final days. So any schoolwork, any testing, got it, and all that. So yeah. So anyways, so basically a couple of days later, he's on his way to Island. And when they are basically though, All Might basically said his family was already there. He waited for you. His basically daughter wanted to go see her basically best friend, and when she goes, no problem. He said it was no problem. So yeah, so basically him and All Might basically having some moments together. He would ask about his parents. He would say that they are ex-mages, and now there's archaeologists that basically help out the mages, council, or whatever, what they have to do. In which basically All Might would not. So, after that, when they land, All Might and basically All Might's wife and All Might's daughter is there. And basically, when they get off the plane, Izuku sees All Might walking down. Basically, he hears someone just run, calling him basically honey, which All Might's wife is. Hold up. Alright, so I'm just gonna say this. The way she looks is basically a beautiful woman, basically, that any man would basically, would basically be happy to be with, which All Might is. Basically, brown hair and blue eyes. Alright. So after Izuku's seen that, he basically, smiled, but then all of a sudden he sees, well, a blast from his past. Which they call her Toria. Yagi. In which, when Izuku hearing that, basically, he doesn't show it, but inside, he's like, oh, she wanted to be reincarnated too, huh? I can't wait till she finds out who I am. So, in a sense, yes, there's going to be a conflict between... There's going to be some drama between them, but Izuku, or Gilgamesh, well, Izuku / Gilgamesh doesn't want nothing to do with Saber. Saber wanted to basically, since she was reincarnated, she basically did learn about there's the Shinra, the Emiyas that are still around, but Midoriya, basically they had to change their name due to some people don't like the Emiya family that much. Whole another reason why I'll explain probably in a later episode. So, she doesn't know the new name. Basically, when All Might be like, sweetie, which is, hi, father. Basically, he goes like, this is, Midoriya, the boy I was talking about. When she looks, she sees basically the little blonde in his hair, basically the red and blue, green eye, and which she doesn't understand why, but she just doesn't like him. He goes, hi, so, let me guess, you have magic within you too? But she blinks, she's like, yeah, he goes, and this must be your mom, who's basically the mage of the family. She goes, uh-huh, and you basically wanted to help and train basically my husband. He goes, yes, your husband's successor, I know. Yeah, I don't really mind. Besides, I want to see what the quirk can do. In which, basically, yes. I mean, it's kind of shocking. So, in a sense, they will walk around, Melissa will find them, do her usual thing, basically saying hello to All Might, best friend, and basically All Might's wife, and David would come around and say hi. And they see Izuku, which Melissa would be like, who are you? It's like, Izuku Midoriya, nice to meet ya. Melissa Shield. They shake hands, and basically, he was like, so, do you know why we're here? Which he nods no. He goes, which All Might will like, let's go somewhere private. And when they do, All Might will explain everything, and David would be shocked and ask why Melissa, which he would say about the quirk, which shocked, David a lot. So, Melissa's basically, which All Might says, you don't have to basically say yes to this. We're willing to wait to, your decision. But I would like you to be trained with my help and your father and, Midoriya here. If you still, don't want the quirk, at least basically. She goes, no, it's just a big decision. She has so many questions. She basically has, how was the quirk born, and tell about the two brothers story and all that, which basically she can't believe it. So, she sighs, and she there's no other one? Which Izuku says, it'll be best if we have someone that basically is from Japan that has it. But, if you have to search, it'll take longer. I'm sorry if basically this is a quick, make you have the world on your shoulders, but you have to basically give the answer at least in the next 2 months or so. Which she basically doesn't hesitate on the answer. She goes, no need. I already made my decision. I'll do it. Which David can't believe it. Which always happy with his, niece. Basically, Ben Saber, aka Itoria, can't believe it. But, but All Might's wife is happy. So, she goes, so when do we start? He goes, first off, today. But we need basically to see what you're fully capable of. So come on. Basically, though, David just sighs because he has, his daughter already accepted it. And he looks at All Might and says, nothing ever better happened to her. He says, we had to train her body so she can handle the quirk. In which he'll not. So in a sense, we would technically have Melissa basically at a decent level of strength, a decent level basically of endurance, and, so on and so forth. Which they can work with this, so yes, Izuku helps Melissa. He's her combat, trainer, and basically helping her with the workout with his parents, teaching him. basically with those type of body, that worked for him, but he basically, also would read up while he's there, basically on training tips, helping advise how to basically get this, and ask his parents on it, which basically he came up with the perfect, way for Melissa to get stronger, quick, but also basically, to be, able to handle at least a good percentage of the quirk. So, when basically All Might thinks she's ready, he gave her the quirk, and basically though it would probably be like at least 3 months before the the test, U8 test. So yeah, and so I mean, Izuku basically after she getting like the whole entire first few days and used to quirk, which he's like, Melissa, I know basically this may sound weird, but are you only charging 1 point of energy in your arm? All of it? She goes, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to get used to it. He goes, so you already understand basically this would break my arm? Yes, I mean, I'm smart. And basically, I basically worked with enough quirk, basically, equipment to help out with heroes, support gear, basically, to know basically the difference on it, which Izuku would nod, and he goes, so, basically though, she basically seen in each limb how much she can handle it, how much will hurt, basically she slowly bring the percentage. She can only hand up to like, maybe like Ken and Izuku. In this situation, Melissa is the Ken and Izuku, basically level. She's gonna go up like Izuku. So, but, a lot more quicker, though. So, she can handle, basically, probably up to, like, 2%. So, Izuku would just tell her not to focus all the energy in it, and to make sure to, like, to spread it out in a way where you can handle it, giving her, basically, the, Falcaline early. Because it was, basically would be better for her. Less taxing and hurts. Which basically All Might probably would have been glad that actually happened, because David would have been very angry. So, yeah. So, basically, Izuku, Melissa, and Toria basically would go back to UA, back to Japan, and go to UA to basically take part in the tests, but Atoria basically went through recommendation. All Might didn't think so, but she kept on insisting. Because with her quirk, called Class Saber, and basically the ability to use basically a weapon, yeah, give me a minute though. Alright, so, yeah, which Zuko's going through regularly, but it's only going to be used in one class. But anyways. So yeah, so Melissa and him basically are good friends. Basically, he likes her intelligence and basically her creative nature with her basically with the support gear, and she's also basically going for the support course. Which Izuku basically, is happy to fall, she wanted to follow her dream and basically to become a hero. In which he basically would gladly, help out. Since his quirk is called Class, she basically, asks what it is, which I never went to explanation of it. Izuku can't just switch to the class right away. No. Basically, he basically, cards would appear. The more basically skilled he is in certain things, like the weapons, he can be able to get that class. So, in a sense, Izuku basically was an archer, and the subclass, basically in the other class, Saber, even though he has never used a sword. But, he improved on it, which he has both mastered them fully. He basically would just show her a card which had the picture of an archer on it. And then basically that card would change and show basically a picture of a sword, and basically he goes, this is the Saber class. So basically she goes, wait, could you have multiple cards? He goes, yes. I can only hold up to 5 cards, and then basically I can switch to those classes basically on the fly then. But, basically though, that would basically consume more of my stamina. which she'll be mates, and she basically, kind of come up with an idea to, well, help him basically, and like hold them all at once, and such. And basically, she's been designing his gear, basically to change with the card, which though she had to, see the card and such and analyze it, and basically, she found out. I mean, basically, she also knew about magic because of, David, friends with All Might's wife and All Might, and basically, say, Toria can use it too, so she knows about magic, so the mages also gave David, because it would be a great help to have him on their side, on inventing things for them. So yes, he does invent, stuff for mages. So basically, they're able to, use, since Izuku is a mage, they made his suit for him, well, his outfit for him, to be very durable, and basically to change on which class he is. So yeah, so that's already made for him and such. Which he said he could pay for it, but basically though David said you don't have the money, and besides you will pay for it. It didn't cost that much, so don't worry. Which is like, okay. So yeah, so in a sense though, Izuku and Melissa going to the test. Izuku did study while he was gone. Did do his schoolwork and such, and yeah, Izuku, man, doesn't want to basically be fully, and he doesn't want to be first. So he wants to be second or third. He gets like a 90. But he did basically, and he did fix the correction that Nezu made, the mistakes Nezu made on purpose, not knowing that. So, there's that. And then with the whole entire Ida thing, with Suzuku not mumbling, Ida would basically, well, go after, but not do anything, just, saying that he's disappointed in him, and basically UA. And then Zuko just says, excuse me, did you not look at the paper? Which is like, huh? Who are you? It's like, it's none of your business, but look at the paper. Which he basically, looks at it and then sees at the 0 pointer and such. He's like, my apologies. I'm really sorry about that, President Mike, and then sit down. Which, basically, President Mike's like, no worry, little listener. Thank you, little listener. He's like, no problem. So, yeah. So, Melissa and Izuku are not in the exact same area. But, basically, the people for the recommendations have been already done, and basically now they're watching. Izuku basically lives in the exact same area with Uraraka and Ida. Basically, Izuku sees Uraraka, he goes over there, but Ida says you shouldn't basically distract her, which he just looks at her like, going over there to give her a helping hand is a distraction. Which you assume things way too quickly, and just, get him off his shoulder, and, he goes over and tells her, helps out Uraraka, which he's just nervous. So he just tells her to take a deep breath in and out and, calm her nerves. And she would say thank you. So yeah, so, in a sense, when the gates open, Izuku will be like, well, I'm gonna get going. See ya. She's like, huh? And then basically, while Izuku runs, he basically says, trace on. And basically creates a katana in his hand. Which, let's just say this. Saber did not watch this, but Momo Todoroki saw it. When she gets there, she just sees Izuku, slashing at robots, basically, killing, destroying them. Which, All Might already told Nezu about him being a mage and basically what he can do, but this is still a shocker to them because of, Nezu basically would probably have some basically conflict with the mages, and he wouldn't know about the Emiya's family, and how basically one Emiya, Shinran, was able to basically take on a whole entire Holy Grail War by himself. And the fact is basically that they've always been strong after that. Have been very concerning, but that's why they're never allowed to join in the mages, fights or whatever, because they would typically just win. Yes, the Mage Shinran's family OP bloodline, in later generations. So yeah, when basically that's like interesting. He hasn't used his quirk yet, even though it's called class quirk. And basically he knows about the full detailed explanation of it, which Basically, though, he's interested. So, Saber like, I didn't know he can do this. Which basically Momo was, Atoria. You know him? He goes, yeah, my father had him basically come with us to visit my best friend on an island. I didn't think he would be this impressive. Which basically Toro's just staring, which Izuku dodges and basically make a slash. Basically kind of basically a robot like in half. Unknowingly to him there was two, which he's like, man, I'm man, my strength has really increased, basically he thinks to himself. Even though I'm not a demigod. Well, okay, I'm just saying this because I kind of read up on it. You know, basically, and basically I kind of asked a few people about it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. But, I mean, but this could be technically a joke moment, so, yeah. Alright, so, anyway, so he goes like, he thinks to himself, even though technically it might have been, it's still hard to tell. I mean, I don't want to believe it, but hey. Yeah, that's my Izuku side talking. So joking around about it is kind of funny. Basically, though, Izuku basically dodges an attack by rolling, and then basically all of a sudden, making basically a spear and throwing at it. Basically destroying it, which Saber's eyes wide, Atora's eyes wide, and she thinks, he's a part of the Emiya family? But so, what happens next is, though, like, there's more robots coming at him, which Izuku basically seen other, basically, people coming, which Izuku decides, like, how do I make this a little more fun for them? And then all of a sudden, like, multiple gates of Babylon open, which Atora's eyes widen even more. She's like, no. As in, basically, multiple freaking, attacks hit. But the robots in the arms, and basically, other people get, destroy the robots. Which he smirks. He goes, now then. Let's get going a bit more. So yeah, so he just dashes off and destroys. Well, Toria's having, can't, thinking he's Gilgamesh, but the Zexian, he doesn't act like Gilgamesh, just can't beat him. And besides, he's an Emiya, so he can't be Gilgamesh. That would be impossible. Because you remember Shinra's, did not like him and such, and blah blah blah. So yeah. So in a sense, when the Zero Pointer comes out, this is basically he hears Ochako needs help, in which basically he has basically the whole entire basically 0 Point chained up, and he runs over and helps Araka. But the fact is, though, he basically goes over and stops. He basically goes, I'm gonna destroy that thing. I don't know if it's out of control or not, but I want to see basically what I can do. All of a sudden, a card appears in his hand. He goes, class, archer. And then he just basically, he suddenly gets basically, the look, basically the white hair, basically, and the eyes. Which, well, basically, he turns into archer from, because I don't know why I would think it would just be kind of cool just to kind of, like, say, yeah, he is an Emiya to Saber. So, yep. When that happens, she's like, Archer? Just Saber, or, Artorias is just very shocked and doesn't know what to say. Then all of a sudden, basically, a bow appears and a weapon. And then basically he just pull him back on, with the weapon on the bowstring. And he basically says, let's see if we can handle this. When he releases the weapon, well, the bow which is just a weapon, it flies towards and destroys the robot. Which is shocking. Everyone, and then he just changes back. I always find it weird how he's turned into basically Archer. He thinks to himself, I guess because I am an Emiya, it's only natural. Yeah, so basically after that, after everyone's in stupor and shock is gone, All Might be like, I didn't know it'd be that powerful. Which Nezu just kind of chuckles like, this is gonna be one interesting year, I can tell. All Might is like, yes. And I all been like, okay. Is he cocky? All goes, no, he's very respectful and humble type of person. Likes to help others and, well, basically willing to basically do whatever he can to help them out. He goes, okay, as long as he's not arrogant. With that much power, anyone would be. Which all my would not in agreement. Along with Nezu. So, after that, basically he leaves. Saber, or say, Artorias would basically run towards him like, wait up, Midoriya! And he just looks and he goes like, yes. He goes, are you an Emiya? He goes, maybe. Just, only if someone basically will have that is an Emiya. He goes, how do you know? Which she goes, well, there's basically books on basically Shinra. Emiya goes like, you personally know this. It seems like. She goes, maybe I do. He goes like, then what are you? A reincarnated hero? Which her eyes one was like, all the mages know this. A lot of the heroes are reincarnated. So, just maybe I am. So what? What? I mean, basically he looks up and down. He was like, you look like just King Arthur. Artorias Pendragon, am I right? Which, she's just now her eyes. He goes, But she just has a slight chuckle, like, it doesn't matter to me if you are. We're still our rivals. I mean, it's only been one-sided till now, right? Basically, while he's walking, he was like, are you Gilgamesh? He goes, which basically Izuku stops and looks back at her and goes like, to be fair, I've been fascinated by basically what Gilgamesh can do. So I may have basically been trying to recreate his basically Gates of Babylon. With my projection skill, I thought it'd be kind of fun. So you just created something similar or near copied him? It was like, it seems like you hate the guy. Just, I do. He was like, which Izuku was like, I see. It's a shame. If he was reincarnated, you don't know if he basically is the exact same person, or he's changed. To you, he's nothing more than just Gilgamesh. Someone that will never change. Which he would just nod. He was like, he kind of sighs and basically like, it's funny. When basically you are summoned as a different class, personality would change too. You wouldn't be 100% the same. Which her basically shows, how did you... And he goes, researched. Not many people know that, but at least Emiya basically researched it. See you around, Artoria. So he's just walking away and he just signs like, it's a good thing I gave up on trying to get her to be with me. I'm very happy on that. Basically, meanwhile, Melissa, she was doing her best. She was doing really great. She basically passed. So, we do cut to when they meet up, which she was like, Izuku! He goes, hey, Melissa. She goes, I think I did great. He goes like, that's good. What about you? He goes like, I did probably alright. She goes, knowing you probably basically showed off. He goes, not very much. She goes, come on, I'm gonna basically go tell my dad. He goes, alright. Let's get going. So yeah, and that's where we're gonna leave it off, everyone. Hope you guys have a nice day, night, wherever you are, and bye.